my name is Kelsea and I am going to be making a video on my review of the governance of the Kingdom of Darkness to tell you who I think would be the best out of the four candidates to rule Hell. So first off, this article was super fun. I loved little fantasy type things like this, so I really enjoyed reading the article. I want to start off by explaining my beliefs and my views on hell and things like that. I'm kind of more of a Buddhist than a theist, so for me, people earn the bad things that happen to them and they earn the good things that happen to them. I don't really believe in a place that we go after we die where we're either tormented or praised. I think that you accumulate certain energies and then they follow you into the next life, or that your pain and suffering towards the end of life is a result of all the bad things that you did in younger years or things like that. So if there's a hell, supposed, my ideal person would be justice. It would be the blind judge with scales, because for me, hell would be a place where people pay for the bad things that they do, and their punishment should match their crime, no more, no less. If you steal, you have things stolen from you. If you rape, you get raped. Things like that. So I think the leader of hell, their motivations should be to punish for the sake of attaining justice. And the judge obviously would not feel any remorse for inflicting these torments on the sinners, because they know that that sinner earned that. That sinner did the same thing to someone else. So they deserve it, and therefore there's no reason to feel bad. So out of the four candidates, the one that I felt was the least deserving of being the new Prince of Hell was Basil. From the story, it kind of felt like maybe he was a Nazi killing people in, camps. But this guy was just doing his job. He had no ill will towards the people that he was killing. He wasn't doing it because he felt like they were bad people and they deserved it. He was just doing his job. And so Calpin's, accusation of this guy was just like a pest guy. It's just the species was different. I think that's totally accurate. He was just pumping out deaths to meet a quota, to make a little bit more money, but as far as being the ruler of hell, I don't think that he would be appropriate, because he didn't really care that these people were good or bad. He didn't care that they were people. He was just performing a function. There was no justice. There was no pain for the sake of pain. He was not a necessarily cruel man for the sake of being cruel. He just was doing his job, like all the Nazis were doing their jobs. So he was evil, but of the four, he was the least to me. The second least would be Adama or Adama. So her cruelty resided in her apathy. There was no ill will, but she knowingly and selfishly infected nations just for her own convenience. Justice didn't matter to her. She just didn't care. But she also didn't inflict this illness on these people because she enjoyed hurting people. She was just like, I realize that I'm hurting a bunch of people, but I'm just gonna live my life and, screw everybody else. So, a little bit more evil because of the carelessness in inflicting this pain, but I don't think that she would be a good ruler of hell, because like Basil, there was no justice trying to be met, right? The runner-up to the Prince of Hell, to me, would be Calpin. So this guy was really evil, and he was cruel for the sake of being cruel. He enjoyed inflicting pain, and he liked watching the suffering of these people. He didn't care about justice, though. So in the article, it says, someone asked him, why do you enjoy hurting criminals? And he's like, oh, I don't really care that they're criminals. I just want to watch them bleed. So as far as being the ruler of hell, people go to hell because they did bad things. And so these people that go to hell are punished for doing the bad things, not punished for the sake of the devil's enjoyment. So although Calpin was a really sick puppy, he was a sadist, and he did some really sick shit, I don't think that he would be the ruler of hell, simply because, the ruler of hell needs to inflict pain because these people deserved it. So, last but not least, the new ruler of hell, the Prince of Darkness, to me would be Deprov. The man was depraved. So he personally inflicted pain in the name of justice. He often did this by inflicting pain to the innocent people or beings associated with the sinners. So the innocent children who shouldn't have suffered because their dad was a drunken peeing in an alley, they did. Or the dog who got his toes cut off, that's terrible. But unlike Calpin, he did it because he felt these people deserved it. And I think if the ruler of hell exists, he should inflict pain on these people because he feels these sinners deserve their punishment. He feels that the people are in hell for a reason, and so he's going to make them suffer. And I think that one of the most intense ways to suffer is to have people that you love or that you care about suffer for you when you're the one who did the wrong thing. So, for instance, and this is some suffering that I know, growing up, my little sister was very, very ill. She had epilepsy. And so it was very difficult to watch her go through that. And to me, I kind of imagine, if Deprov were in this situation, maybe, and my parents are wonderful people, but say that they did terrible, terrible things, and so they made my little sister, Deprov made my little sister suffer so that my parents had to pay for their wrongdoings. I mean, obviously, this is not the case, but that's really freaking evil. And that is something that Deprov would do, and I think that for me, if I were a parent, my hell would be watching my child suffer over and over again for the wrongs that I did, because I would want to pay for my sins. Same with the dog. So, in the end, the ruler of hell, Deprov, has justice in mind, and he's inflicting pain, and he enjoys the cruelty to make these people pay for their sins. The punishment matches the crime, although it seems like Deprov kind of goes a little overboard, but in the end, the punishment is related to the crime. Do the crime, you do the time. Yeah. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed this article. I spent a good amount of time thinking about it, and it was really, really fun, and I appreciate the opportunity, and this Understanding Evil class has been super, super fun, and it's definitely helped me figure out what I believe is worth standing up for. And I enjoyed it. So thank you, Professor Fairies, and peace out.